And here we go. So you're going to start on your mat. And if you have two blocks, have them nearby. If you don't have blocks, you'll be okay. But we use one of the blocks to start if you have it. And if you don't have it, again, you'll be fine without. You'll just lie more of a Shavasana type of shape. But if you do have your block, grab it. And then you'll place the block behind you at the back corner of your mat, about a third from the very back of your mat. And if you can go the medium setting, great. You can also go the lower setting if you prefer. And if you don't have a block, but you're thinking what else is nearby, you could roll up a towel, you could grab a water bottle that's nearby. If you have a foam roller, something like this shape, you could place that at the back of your mat. And this is just to start to get into the base of the skull and the back of the neck. If you've got nothing nearby, just lie flat, no big deal. And if you're using a prop, you want to try to find the base of the skull. So where the very top of the spine and the very bottom of the skull come together, that's called your occipital ridge. So it should feel like there's a little ridge there. See if you can catch that with your item of choice. If it's a block, go for the edge of the block. And then take your palms, rest them on your belly. Let your eyes close down. If you've got a prop underneath you, you want to try to get the very base of your skull onto the edge of that prop. Whereas if you don't have any props, let's say you're just lying flat, you want the very roundest edge of the back of your skull to be on the ground. You don't necessarily want to tuck your chin because that won't feel good after a little while. So in that case, you go for more of a neutral space where all four sides of the neck are even. So one of the two, one or the other. And then close your eyes and just start to center yourself. Before you even dive any deeper into the breath, just notice the rhythm of your breath in a passive way. And then we'll go from the outermost layer to the innermost layers of ourselves in terms of creating more awareness. So start with your skin. Notice the temperature of the room that you're in on your skin. If you've just come in from outside, maybe there's some evidence of that. Colder fingers or colder nose or colder toes. Notice also the texture of your clothing on your skin and notice what it feels like to have your palms resting on your belly. There's a bit of tactile information based on your finger pads touching the clothing that you're wearing or skin. Notice that first layer, gather as much information as you can. Meanwhile, the breath hasn't really changed at all. It's just a passive part of your experience. And you're watching that to some degree, but not doing anything too intensive with that just yet. And then from that initial layer of skin that we just looked at, dive a little deeper. And now you can notice the muscle layer of yourself and sort of the connective tissue layer. So see if there's any muscle tightness that you're aware of in this moment. See if there's any tenderness. See if anything's pulling to one direction or another. For example, if you've had a right shoulder injury, is there some level of kind of warping towards that shoulder? Is the rest of the body pulled in that direction in some way? Even if it's very small or minute, can you notice that? Or if it's the knee or the hip or multiple areas, just see if you can feel any sort of tension or even scar tissue in that area. Maybe something more acute and not so long-term, like a little knot that you woke up having or a little achiness from being on your feet all day. Scan all throughout the different muscles that you can find in your body. Doesn't matter what their names are or what their jobs are. You're just scanning through for awareness. And then you'll dive a little deeper than that. Notice the more structural layer that's beneath that. So your bones, your cartilage, your ligaments, your tendons, all of the joint areas. So maybe getting a little more involved in the knee pain or shoulder pain or neck tension that you might have found a few moments ago when you were scanning for muscles. See what you find. Maybe you broke a bone years and years ago, and there's still some level of swelling or some level of being able to tell when it's going to rain in that area. Noticing anything there may be to notice in that regard. Maybe one shoulder likes to round forward more than the other, or maybe you've got a mild scoliosis and your spine is a little bit curved to the right or the left. And then go one layer deeper, and now you're at the organ level of things. So notice peristalsis in your intestines, which is that little gurgling, bubbly sound. Muscles of your intestines are moving without us actually asking them to move. That's how we digest and process things. Notice any other abdominal tensions or tightnesses or constrictions. And then notice your heartbeat and your heart rate. And on either side of the heart, we've got our two lungs. So start to notice what's going on there. Come back to the breath in now a more intensified way, in a more curious way, and start to deepen your breath. Every time you take an inhale, picture energetically your awareness expanding from the lungs back out into those other layers of tissue. Noticing again anything that caught your attention or anything that was maybe asymmetrical or a little offset. Continue that process of just watching, noticing, self-studying. You'll stay exactly as you are, except you'll turn your head as far as it'll go to the right. As you turn your head as far as it'll go to the right, notice if you roll over any ropey, tender areas. And if you do, just take notice of those. If you feel compelled to do so, you can angle yourself so that you're applying some pressure into the more tender areas. Which can help those areas eventually to resolve. But really, this is about opening the left side of the neck. So notice any ropey tension from the base of the jaw all the way down to the collarbone. We've got quite a few little muscles or long thready muscles that attach there. So just kind of expand your breath into any tension that you might be harboring in that area. Don't worry about good or bad, or if you're doing it right or wrong. Just keep breathing. 4 more here. So you're deepening the breath. So little by little, see if you can find more breath as we go. And then the next exhale that you take, no rush. When you get through that exhale, roll your head back to center. Take a little pause when you get to center. Notice if right side and left side of the neck feel even. Notice if maybe your left shoulder was actually lifted a little bit when you turned your head and now it's centered itself back towards the ground. And same thing, second side. Keep the breath going in the meantime. Turn your head all the way to the left. As you do that, just let yourself settle in. Drop the shoulders down towards the floor. Notice that same area from earlobe to jaw to collarbone, this time on the right side. You'll notice there's one particularly ropey band of tissue that traces along those landmarks. So see if you can breathe that area to soften. We've got 4 more breaths, settling in right here. Last one, deep breath in. Exhale, you can bring the head back to center nice and slow. Pause when you get to center. Notice again, right side and left side, do they feel even? Is there any tension that you've been able to identify since getting started? And now from here, lift your chin towards the ceiling. And then tuck your chin towards your chest. Happen to have the edge of a prop, you get even more feedback, but if not, you're still getting a little range of motion exercise here. So again, lift the chin, lower the chin. Just one more, same thing, lift the chin. Lower the chin. Now this time, pause, keep your chin tucked, and try to lift your head off of any prop that you might be on top of. If you don't have a prop underneath you, then just keep your chin tucked for a moment. If you had a prop, place your hand behind your head with one hand, and take the other hand to grab your prop and just get it out of your way. And then gently lower your head all the way down to the mat. And once your head comes down, hug your knees in towards your chest. And then we'll take happy baby from here. So split the thighs and reach down, catch the outer feet, big toes, heels, whatever you like. Rock a little side to side. Smooth out the mid back and the lower back. And then come back to center. You'll stay in happy baby, but bring both of your hands to the right leg, whether it's the right foot, ankle, shin bone, thigh bone, whatever you can grab, even a pant leg. And then see if you can step your left foot flat to the mat. So left leg will be like bridge pose. If the left leg hovers because the hip is tight, that's fine. Try to make it as heavy as you can, just so you don't have to put much effort into it. And then gently leverage your right knee towards your right armpit. And just gently reach the legs apart. Take one more inhale. Notice any stretches that come up or any muscle feedback that comes up. And then exhale, cross your right ankle over top of your left thigh. Keep that for a moment, palms on the belly, start to windshield wiper that figure 4 shape from side to side, and only a few inches for the moment. So just massaging out the upper part of the glutes and around the sacrum and the SI joints. The sacrum is that big wedge of flat bone at the base of the spine and on the back of the pelvis. And then either keep that going with the left foot flat or pull the left thigh in. Maybe clasp hands behind the left thigh and then rock a little side to side from there. So intensifying your hip stretch a bit, but keeping everything else relatively the same. Shoulders are heavy, breath is slow. Jaw muscles and facial muscles are soft and exaggerated. Almost like your flesh and your skin could melt off of your bones. They're so soft and there's so little effort. And then release the interlace of your fingers if you've got that. Come to center if you're moving side to side. Hug the right knee in towards your chest. Stretch the left leg out and let your left heel come down to the mat. And then interlace fingers in front of your right shin. Just rock your shin and thigh side to side a couple of times. Take one more inhale there. Exhale, bring your left hand to the outer right thigh. Peel the right arm open to the right and drape your left leg across your body for a twist. Don't worry how low the leg goes or whether your knee or toes can touch the floor. Just find a twist that feels appropriate for now. Still early. And then come back to center, hug both knees in again, happy baby. Reach down, grab whatever's comfortable, and notice the right leg might be a little easier to work with than the left. Maybe things are symmetrical, but usually one side tends to be a little more open, and since we just spent some time with the right, it's probably got a little less resistance. Now, again, come back to center. Same thing, second side. You'll bring both hands to the left foot or shin or knee or thigh or whatever makes sense. And then right foot, see if you can step it flat to the floor. And if not, just let the leg hover. But if you can ground through the foot, try to press down through where the big toe meets the foot, the pinky toe where that meets the foot, and then the inner and outer heel. That'll give you some leverage to move your left knee towards your left armpit. And spread the collarbones open. Reach the tailbone forward. Take an inhale, stay. And exhale, left ankle, right thigh. So figure 4, second side, palms on the belly to start. Do a gentle little windshield wiper from side to side. Just sort of tracing out the back of the pelvis, the upper part of the glutes. Possible there's some hip stretch here, but probably not too much of a hip stretch to start. And then keep that going, or you can pull the right thigh in, clasp hands behind the right thigh, draw the shoulders down and back, and then same thing, rock a little side to side. Check on your breath, see if you lost any of the depth or the quality to your breathing, and keep trying to reinforce that. And then from here, take one more inhale. And exhale, release. Left knee hugs in, right leg stretches out towards straight. The right heel comes all the way down to the mat. You'll reach the legs apart, shoulders down and back, and then start by just rocking the shin and thigh side to side. So it's this nice little self-massage you can get for the digestive system as you press into the intestines and the belly, and also for the thigh muscles and hip flexors as you press those into the belly and the abdomen. And then you'll take the outer left thigh in your right hand, drape the leg across you to the right. Left arm can peel open to the left this time. The gaze might follow, but none of it feels tense in the neck, so check in with that. One more inhale, stay there. Exhale, come back to center. Both knees hug into the chest. This time, keep the inner thighs close together. Grab behind the knees and thighs, and then start to pump the legs so you can rock forward and back, up and down the length of your spine. Trying to pause at the sits bones, and then pausing back on the shoulder blades. And if that's too much, you can use your hands to help you. You might just rock to one side and press upright to sit. But if you're able, rock forward and back one more time. Pause on your sits bones, find a little balance. And then from here, cross at the shin bones, sit up nice and tall, and twist to your right. So right fingertips behind you, left hand, right thigh. Crown of the head reaches straight up towards the ceiling, shoulders draw back. And then you'll unravel from there, twist to the left, same thing. So left finger's behind you this time. Right hand to the left thigh or knee or whatever makes sense. And then come back to center. If you are using any blocks, you can place those at the front of your mat. You will be okay without them. And then work your way into tabletop position on your hands and knees. So take a moment to just reconfigure. If you've got your winter socks on and a sweater on, anything like that, it's a good time to just get yourself ready to get up and moving. And then once you're in tabletop, don't forget to grip the mat with your knuckles and your finger pads. And from here, you'll inhale a simple cow pose, crown of the head and tailbone lift up. And then you'll exhale, reverse that into a really simple cat pose, rounding the back and hollowing out the belly. So really spread the shoulder blades apart. And then repeat, inhale, cow pose your spine. Exhale, cat pose your spine. Keep that going, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And then last one, same thing. Inhale, cow. This time though, as you exhale into cat, take a pause and we'll turn it into sort of a barrel roll of the rib cage. So stay rounded and press your ribs to the right. And then melt your rib cage down towards the floor. And then round and press your ribs to the left. And then round your back through center. And we'll do that same thing again. Ribs right. Then they melt downward. And then they press left. And then you round the back. And one more like that. Ribs right. Ribs center. Ribs left. Round the back. Pause. Now we'll reverse it. Ribs press to the left. Then they come center. Then they press right. And then you round the back. And two more. Left, center, right, round, left, center, right, and round. And then come back to neutral. Walk your hands a little forward. Palms shoulder width apart. So you might go a little wider than you have them for tabletop. Grip the mat the same way. Curl the toes. And stretch back downward facing dog. We're all pretty familiar with this one, so I won't bore you with too many details, but make sure that you're gripping the mat rather than sinking into the mat. Otherwise, the wrists will be getting weaker instead of stronger. We want to really push the mat away and build up that soft tissue around the carpal tunnels, around the wrists themselves. And then one knee bends at a time. Opposite leg can straighten and you alternate. Notice any snaps or pops or shifting or settling. And for a typical down dog, the feet are hips width apart. But for a moment, I'd like you to step the feet to shoulder width apart. So go a little wider. So feet are as wide as the palms of your hands. And then keep the feet where they are and slowly walk your hands to the back of the mat. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Bring some props if you need to. And eventually at the back of the mat, bend your knees so your belly and your thighs can connect or get close to connecting. Grab hold of opposite elbows. And do a little sway from side to side. Let your head get nice and heavy. Let your shoulders move technically down the back, but up and away from the ears, even though they're relaxing. We're here for 3. And 2. And 1. Now sway back to center. Fingertips to the mat. If you can get them there, heel toe your feet back to hips width apart, and then walk your hands forward, come back to downward facing dog. Hips to the sky, thigh bones press back, and you pedal out the feet again. And then right leg on an inhale, sweep the leg up and back. Keep the leg straight or bend the knee, open up the hip. See what feels better for you. And then right knee to your nose, come all the way forward, lift the shin bone up, look where you want to step, and then step the right foot forward or grab the heel, sweep it up. Now, once you've got the right foot forward, you can grab your blocks or you can find your fingertips. We're going to create a little pattern here of inhaling to straighten out the front leg. And then exhale, bend the right knee and set the left knee down on the mat. Back leg behind you. Point your left toes towards the back of the mat. Inhale, cow pose your spine, lift your heart. Push into your blocks or push into your fingertips. And then exhale, cat pose your spine instead, round the back. And then come back to neutral, curl the left toes, lift the left knee, and we'll do it again. 3 more cycles, nice and slow. So on an inhale, straighten out the right leg. Exhale, bend both knees, left knee comes down. Point the toes. Inhale, cow pose your spine, lift your heart. Exhale, cat pose your spine, round your back. Back to neutral, curl the left toes, lift the left knee. We'll do it 2 more times. Inhale, straighten out the right leg. Exhale, bend both knees, left knee comes down. Point the left toes. Inhale, cow pose the spine. Exhale, cat pose the spine. And then last one here, come back to neutral, curl the left toes, lift the left knee. Inhale, straighten out the right leg. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. Exhale, bend both knees, the left knee comes down. One last time, point the toes, inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. And then back to neutral. And this time, walk your blocks or fingertips back and stretch your right leg towards straight, half Hanuman. So take a moment to get situated there. Inhale, the chest moves forward towards the top of your right foot. And then exhale, soften the elbows. Keep the elbows wrapping in. And take 5 slow breaths. And 4. 3. 2. And 1. Now bend the right knee. Step the right foot flat, blocks to the side if you're using them. Fingertips frame out the right foot, curl the left toes, lift the left knee. Step all the way forward, top of the mat. Left foot meets the right. Inhale, lengthen forward, lift halfway. Exhale, fold over your legs. And then press down through your feet. Inhale, reach the arms around and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samastiti Heat, palms together in prayer, right at your heart. And then here we go, a Sun A, Vinyasa optional. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward, touch the mat. Or use some props. Inhale, lengthen forward, lift halfway. Now, if you're feeling like you want a more mellow practice, step back to down dog or stop off in a tabletop or a child's pose. If you want a little more heat to work with, bend your knees, place your palms, and step back plank pose. And here's the vinyasa, 4 separate poses. So take it or leave it, but if you're in plank, lean forward, lower halfway, and then all the way to your belly. Point your feet, squeeze your legs, inhale, cobra pose. And then exhale, downward facing dog. We all end up in the same spot. So if you went for child's pose instead, or if you went for tabletop instead, work your way back to down dog. Or maybe you've been in down dog the whole time, and regardless, give it a little wiggle. See what's different, see what's shifting. And then left leg, inhale, sweep it up and back. Your choice to keep the leg straight or open up the hip. And then left knee to your nose, come forward, lift the shin bone up, look between your thumbs, step the left foot forward. Use your fingertips or grab your blocks if you want them. Inhale, straighten out the left leg. Straight is relative, so don't feel like you have to go all the way straight. And then exhale, bend both knees. The right knee comes down, right toes point back behind you. And then inhale, cow pose comes next. Lift the heart. Open the whole front of your body. Exhale, cat pose instead. Hollow out the belly and round the back. And then back to neutral. Curl the right toes, lift the right knee, and let's do it again. Inhale, straighten out the left leg. Exhale, bend both knees. Right knee comes down, right toes point back. Inhale, cow pose. And then exhale, cat pose. Back to neutral. Right toes curl under, lift the right knee. 2 more rounds of that same cycle. Inhale, straighten out the left leg. Exhale, bend both knees. Right knee comes down, point the toes. Inhale, cow pose your spine. Exhale, cat pose instead. And then last one, back to neutral. Curl the right toes, lift the right knee. Inhale, straighten out the left leg. Exhale, bend both knees. The right knee comes down, point the toes. Inhale, cow pose, lift the heart. And then exhale, cat pose, round the back. And then this time, come back to neutral and stretch your left leg towards straight. Half Hanuman, so you can dorsiflex at the ankle, toes towards the shin. Inhale, chest towards your left big toe. And then keep that length. Exhale, fold over your left leg. Reach the chest and then hang the head on top of that. Jaws are soft, shoulders draw back. We're here for 5. and 4. 3. 2. And last one, deep breath in. Exhale, bend the left knee, step the left foot flat, blocks to the side, fingertips frame out your left foot, curl the right toes, lift the right knee, step all the way forward, right foot meets the left, top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold over your legs, and then ground down through your feet to reach the arms around and up. Stand up tall, reach for your ceiling, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, Samasthiti, palms together in prayer right in front of your heart. Now again, you've got the option to vinyasa or the option to just step back. So inhale, circle the arms around and up. Exhale, swan dive forward slowly, touch the mat eventually. Inhale, lengthen forward, lift halfway. And then exhale, plank pose if you're up for it. Down dog, child's pose, or tabletop if not. And if you're with me in plank, you can lean forward, lower halfway, or all the way down. Point your feet, squeeze your legs. Inhale, back bend of your choice. So if you like something better, like up dog, feel free. And then downward facing dog again, hips to the sky. Once you're back there, pedal out your feet. If you are in child's pose or tabletop, find your way back there as well. And let's do a little bit more. Inhale, right leg again, sweep it up and back. Keep the leg straight or bend the knee, open the hip. And then knee to your nose, come forward, lift the shin bone up, pause, round the back, step the foot between your thumbs, and then grab your blocks or use your fingertips. One more round of that same sequence we did before. Inhale, straighten out the right leg. Exhale, bend both knees, the left knee comes down and you point the toes. Inhale, cow pose your spine. Exhale, cat pose your spine. And then back to neutral, curl the left toes, lift the left knee. Spin the left heel down for this one, heel to arch like warrior two. So take a moment to just kind of gauge that. And then once you know you've got knee above the ankle and a nice long stance, you can circle the arms around and open, stand up into warrior two, but we won't stay there. Spin the palms open. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, straighten out the right leg. And then exhale, sink back in, palms face down, second warrior. Then repeat, 2 more. Inhale, reach up, stretch up. Exhale, sink back in. One more time. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, sink back in. Keep the legs, lean forward, flip the right palm. Inhale, peaceful warrior. And then exhale, side angle pose. Right forearm, right thigh, left arm reaches up. Left palm is going to spin to face behind you. And you'll take your left arm and drape it behind your lower back. And then keep that, but look down and tuck your chin toward your chest. And see if you can find a new area on the back of the left side of the neck to start to work open with your breath. We're here not too long, just for 4. If you're comfortable enough, you can close the eyes. For 3. 2. 1. Left arm reaches up into the air. Press down, lift up, warrior 2. Same legs, and then 1 big step forward, or a few steps if you need. Top of the mat, find chair pose briefly. Both knees bend, you're sitting low. And then stand strong on your left foot, palms together in front of your heart. Bring your right knee to your chest. Now, if it doesn't work just like that, take it in steps. And if you'd rather step over to some wall space or step onto a hardwood floor, that can be easier. So consider that. Now from here, open your right knee to the right and then step into your version of tree pose. So place your right foot somewhere on your left leg. Try to square the pelvis forward towards the front of the mat and then reach the arms straight up into the air. Palms face one another, shoulders draw down the back. We're here in tree pose with a slow, steady breath for 5. 4, 3, and 2, last one, deep breath in. Now, if you're off your mat in tree pose, just make your way back to your mat. We'll end up in down dog. So pick and choose what you'd like to do to get there. If you'd like more of a challenge, palms together at your heart. Right knee hovers in front of your chest. See if you can keep your balance there. And then both arms and the right leg will sweep back behind you as you tip your torso forward just for a breath, warrior 3, and then tap your right toes down at the back of the mat. So you could use your hands to help yourself get there. You could use just your balance, see what happens, and then palms come down, your choice, vinyasa or down dog or tabletop or child's pose. I'm gonna go back for a simple downward facing dog. Remember, if you're going vinyasa, 4 separate poses. And remember, if you're going child's pose or tabletop, you take a few breaths and then you ease into down dog just to keep the momentum going. We've got one more side. And we'll stretch and unwind after that. So left leg, when you're ready for it, inhale, sweep it up and back. You can keep the leg straight and the hip square, or you can bend the knee, open the hip, depending on what feels good. And then left knee to your nose, come forward, lift the shin bone up, make some space, look where you want to step, and then step the left foot all the way up there. And one last time, grab your blocks if you want them, or use fingertips instead. And then slowly on the breath, inhale, straighten out your left leg. Exhale, bend both knees, the right knee comes down. You'll point the right toes back behind you. Inhale, just one cow pose. Exhale, just one cat pose. And then back to neutral, curl the right toes, lift the right knee. Spin the right heel down, warrior 2. Heel to arch alignment in your feet. Left knee bent to a square, and then you'll circle the arms around and up and stand yourself upright. And then 3 times with the breath, palms spin open. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, straighten the left leg. And then exhale, sink back in, warrior 2. And repeat, inhale, stretch up. Exhale, sink back in. One more, inhale, stretch up. Good, exhale, sink back in. Now keep the legs, lean forward, flip the left palm, inhale, peaceful warrior. And exhale, side angle pose. And we're gonna add a little half bind for the neck. So peel the right arm straight up into the air, and then spin the right palm to face behind you, and drape that same right arm behind your back. And then lean back a little extra, turn your gaze down to the floor, and tuck your chin to your chest. And just see what kind of a stretch you can find and how much stretch you can find. We're here for 4. And 3. Last 2. And 1. Now the right arm reaches back up into the air. You'll press down, lift up to warrior 2. Little pause when you get there, and then a big step forward, or maybe a few, top of the mat, chair pose. Now when you get there, pause, right foot's gonna ground underneath you, and then palms come to prayer, left knee hovers at your chest. By all means, if you need to step into a better space or a better situation, you can make that happen. And then you'll open your left knee to the left and step your left foot somewhere to your right leg for tree pose. As always, higher is more difficult, lower gets easier. So see what you need, and then reach the arms straight up into the air, palms face one another. And we're here for 5. And 4. 3. Last 2. And one. Now remember, if you're off your mat, you can step back and make it really simple. Just go right for down dog or something like that. If you want to challenge, palms to prayer. Left knee hovers. And then both arms and the left leg are going to sweep back like warrior three, just for a breath. Maybe you use your hands to help you get there. You'll tap the left toes down, back of the mat, pause. And then palms to the mat, vinyasa, or right to downward facing dog if you would like. From your down dog, let's all lower child's pose this time. So knees wide, big toes together. Walk your hands all the way forward towards the top of the mat. And then try to melt your forehead, your rib cage, chin and chest, all the way down onto the mat to relax. And then lift up just enough to take your right arm, thread it underneath the left side of the chest, palm facing open. And turn your gaze to the left and let your right temple sink down. Notice this is a nice pose to get some feedback from the breath. So let your inhales be really expansive again if you've lost any of that throughout our practice. And then release that and switch sides. The right arm stretches forward. The left arm can thread underneath the right side of the chest, palm facing open. Left temple sinks down to the mat. Breath gets even slower. Next exhale, unthread the left arm. Stretch both arms forward, pause, and then press down and lift up tabletop position on your hands and knees. Now we're going to come into single pigeon. So if that's not for you, you can always do a figure four pigeon on your back like we started with and like we do almost every practice. But try this one if you know that you're not going to have any knee issues or hip issues with it, or even try it and then change your mind. You'll take your right knee and slide it forward behind your right wrist. And then you'll take your right ankle and wiggle it forward in front of your left thigh across your mat. You do not need to get the shin bone parallel with the top of the mat, but you can adjust the stretch to make it deeper by bringing the shin farther forward. And then your left leg behind you is going to walk to the back of the mat. The key is that this right knee is wider to the right than the outer right hip. And if you're sinking over to the right, you could take a prop like a block or something that maybe you used earlier to prop up that right hip so that you can square the pelvis forward, because that's an important part of this pose. So set the pose up if you're able to. If not, you just flip down onto your back and end up here in a figure four. So know that that's a good option as well. And then whichever of the two you've settled on, open up the chest and get heavy. So pigeon pose, you can walk forward to your elbows. Figure four pigeon pose, you relax down onto your back. Have any props that you need nearby, so pillows or blankets or things that can make the ground a little closer. And then close your eyes and just let yourself be in this stretch. Unwinding from your day, unwinding from your week. And even unwinding from all the standing poses that we did in our practice time. And then slower, steadier breath. Four more cycles of breath, then we'll switch sides. Last one. And then if you're in a figure 4 pigeon, you can switch through happy baby or bridge pose. If you're folding forward with me, start to lift up, find your palms. Scoot the left knee in. You could go down dog if you wanted to stretch it out. Otherwise, tabletop position, one cow, one cat. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, round the back. And then back to neutral. The left knee slides forward behind the left wrist. You wiggle the shin bone across your body in front of the right thigh, and then walk your right leg back behind you, making sure the right leg ends up in a straight line. So don't let your ankle roll in or roll out if you can help it. Add a block under your hip if you feel like you're shifting to the left, and then spin the chest forward and lower down to your elbows, or stay on your palms and just hang your head. We're all going to have a pretty different experience in this pose, so don't feel like you need to look a certain way or adhere to a certain level of instructions or depth. Just kind of find the pose that works for you amongst those different options and varieties that I gave you. And then close your eyes once you're somewhere. And try to make more use of your breath. Five more cycles of breath from here. Last one, deep breath in. Exhale, walk your way back up onto your palms. If you're in a figure 4, you can uncross your ankle from your thigh, roll to one side and come upright to sit. Whereas if you were folding forward, see if you can shift your hips to the left, sweep this right leg up and around, and everyone, we're going to land in Baddha Konasana. So feet together and knees wide. Once you land in Baddha Konasana, wrap your first and second fingers around your 2 big toes, or you can interlace your fingers and wrap that around all 10 of your toes. So see which of those feels better. I like big toes with my peace sign fingers. And then inhale, lengthen forward like you're doing cow pose. And with your exhale, fold over your legs. Keep the chest reaching. And then let the head get nice and heavy. And the shoulders draw down the back, chest opens up. And you breathe. 3. 2. 1. Press down, lift up with a flat back. Release your big toes. Take your right leg out to the right. Bring your left foot to your upper inner thigh. Reach the arms up, revolve to the right, belly button points at your right big toe, and then hinge at your hips, bow forward, and let the arms just float their way into place. The chest keeps reaching, but the chin can tuck, so the back of the neck gets longer. Add your breath. Get nice and heavy. Last one already. Deep breath in. Exhale, flat back, rise all the way up. Switch your legs. Left leg out. Right leg in, arms reach up, revolve to the left this time. And then hinge at your hips, bow forward over your left leg. The Chest keeps reaching, but the shoulders draw back, and then tuck the chin. And try to get comfortable. Try to enjoy it in spite of whatever tension may be there. Just 3. And 2. And 1. Flat back, rise all the way up. Bend both knees, step both feet flat. And then find your way onto your back, either using your fingertips or just using your belly. We've got 1 bridge pose and a twist. Although if you're more advanced, feel free to make it a wheel or stand up, drop back, whatever you like to. But whatever you're going for, step your feet flat, hips width apart. Spread your toes out and lift your toes just for a moment so the arches of your feet will lift as well. And then fan your toes back down lightly and try to keep the arches of your feet lifting. And then gaze towards the ceiling so that your neck is in a nice neutral place. Release the arms, palms face open, and step down into your feet to lift your pelvis up. And then a block could land under your lower back. You could interlace your fingers behind your back. You could bend your elbows and make a little shelf out of the heels of your hands for your back. Or if you're more advanced and you like full wheel or you like deeper back bends, here's a good time to do 1 or even 2 or 3 of them. Those of us keeping it simple, we're here 3 more breaths. Nothing too crazy. Last 2. And then 1 more. Deep breath in. Exhale, release, come all the way down. Upper back, middle back, lower back. And then we'll end close to where we started. Right knee hugs in, left leg stretches out straight. Reach the thigh bones apart. Rock the right shin and thigh side to side once or twice. And then take the outer right thigh in your left hand and drape the leg across you as the right arm reaches open to the right. And then come back to center. Right leg out, left leg in. Squeeze the right shin and thigh, or the left shin and thigh rather, into the belly. Rock a little side to side. And then take the outer left thigh in your right hand. Drape the leg across you to the right. And peel your left arm open to the left. Back to center. Arms, legs, all of your body parts melt their way into Shavasana. Take the next few minutes just to let yourself rest. You've got the time and you want to linger here in this post-yoga bliss, you can feel free to stay and ignore me or sit up to meditate for a while. If you'd rather get back into your day, start by deepening the breath. Gently start to move your toes and your fingers. After that, you can rock the head from side to side. And then stretch into the arms and legs. And hug the knees in towards the chest. Smooth out your back and then roll over to one side. And as you get to one side, take a pause there just to notice how you feel. And then you'll push the ground away, come all the way upright, and have a seat. As you sit up tall, palms can come together at your heart. Take a moment to acknowledge an intention, whether it's the same one you connected with earlier, or whether maybe it's something brand new that's just come up. Finish and seal everything in with an Om. So join or listen, but keep your intention in mind. Take a nice deep breath in. Bow your head to your heart. The light in me honors that very same light in each of you. Namaste.